Anyone else?
Roger Sefzik, SEFZIK 7161 Valley View up in the county. You may recall I was here a couple times along with multiple neighbors from our area regarding marijuana. And so I'm back on that same issue for a couple reasons. One is to let you know that the applicant in our area has graciously said he's not going to pursue his permit after meeting with people in the neighborhood and hearing from them. I think he too saw the wisdom that this is not appropriate for residential neighborhoods. So I'm coming to you not because I'm personally impacted as much as I was before, but because I'm still impacted, because it still impacts the entire county and other people like me who have chosen to live in the county, and to appeal to you to reconsider the ordinance that you currently have. I know it's a temporary ordinance, but I think it's appropriate at this point to put a moratorium on it and let the planning group work through and come up with an ordinance that is more appropriate. If we're going to have this in the county, it ought to be better thought out. It's been said that, well, it's just an agricultural pursuit. And I want you to understand it's really not. It's quite different from anything else that we do in our county in the way of agriculture. In fact, it's not even agriculture according to the state. They've removed all agricultural designations and all tax treatment for that. As you said, and as I pointed out before, this is a crime magnet, violent crime. And I don't know of any other crops, if you want to call it that attract violent crime, but yet this one does. This one's illegal under federal law. I don't know of any other crops we grow in this county that are illegal under federal law. I don't know other crops that you have to have a state license in order to grow. Other crops don't require that you be 21 years of age in order to work in that area. Traditionally, our ag has provided great jobs for kids. This one doesn't. I don't know of any other ag pursuit, if you want to call it that you can't have been a criminal in. But if you have a criminal background, you can't be involved in this.
30 seconds, please.
Other ag doesn't require that we have extreme security measures. We can't have this within 1,000 feet of a church. Why would we want it within 1,000 feet of our homes? But yet that's where we are. So I'm asking you to go ahead and put a moratorium on this because you can't go back and pull the ones that are getting applied for. But you can always do it in the future when you have a better ordinance. So I would ask you all to 4 of you to come together and pass a moratorium on this and stop this until we have an appropriate ordinance that protects the residents of the county. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Looks like we got one more. If there's anybody else, if you can come down up front, that'll speed things up.
Hi, my name is Dan Traxler, 2631 Utter Street. I'm a little nervous because I didn't plan to speak and I don't have anything prepared. I'm not here on behalf of a client. I'm here on a matter that's become very personal to me, and I'm here to ask you to take action to shut down medical marijuana dispensaries and collective gardens in Whatcom County. I'm not talking about I-502 businesses. I'm not talking about people who have businesses that are properly licensed by the state. But I have a high school son. He's 14. He goes to Bellingham High School. And I know for a fact that people are getting bogus medical cards, and they're going and they're getting marijuana from these dispensaries, and they are selling it to kids. It's happening in our middle schools, and it's happening in our high schools. It's happening a lot. And I know kids are going to smoke. I know kids are going to drink. My kid's not an angel. I wasn't an angel, but it should not be this easy for our kids to get pot. It's unbelievable. And it is a gateway drug, and it is leading to other things. And I think our representatives are just turning a blind eye. I'm going to go to the city council and say the same thing. I never thought I would do this, but I think it's really important for our kids, and I'm asking you to look into it and take some action.
Ms. Brenner.
Yeah. What you're talking about is illegal.
It is.
And have
unequivocally
you thought
illegal.
Of contacting the sheriff? That's the best way, I think, to, I mean.
They're not doing anything.
You've contacted them?
I have not contacted them personally, but I know enough about it to know that there's not a lot of action going on because of the murky nature of.
No, you call me and tell me which ones. I'll contact them.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to see that happen.
I think it would be more helpful though if you could pass something, an ordinance outlawing them, because it is very unclear. Yes, we do have case law that says medical marijuana dispensaries and collective gardens are illegal, but they're still operating in defiance of
I'm just saying
case
what
law.
You're talking about is totally illegal, and
to sell it to kids is illegal, definitely, but the medical marijuana dispensaries and the collective gardens are illegal per case law that's been passed in the state of Washington, but it's not being enforced.
Well, that's what I mean, and if nobody's telling anybody.
I think you need something in your code.
Well,
Mr. Kremen?
Just a quick question. Are these establishments both in the unincorporated and incorporated areas?
They're in the cities and in the county.
Okay.
They're in the county, definitely,
Yeah.
along the guide.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, as Councilmember Brenner said, I mean, the authorities need to be apprised of what's going on, and between our respective legislative bodies, the City of Bellingham and Whatcom County can exert some influence on our law enforcement officials to enforce the law.
They are openly operating, though.
Well,
I mean, they
tell
are
me
in
who
business.
and where. Believe me, I don't want that happening, but I've seen medical marijuana actually help certain people who need it.
I believe there are legitimate. I believe there are medical cards out there for legitimate illnesses that marijuana helps, but there are a lot of illegitimate ones that are occurring. And we have these I-502 businesses that are operating legally. They have all of these regulations and restrictions, and the medical businesses are not operating under those same regulations.
I know there's lots of bills going through the state legislature right now. I don't know the reality of what's going to pass. But Mr. Crawford.
I just suggested either the prosecutor or the sheriff might, at our invitation, be willing to come forward, probably be done more appropriately in a committee meeting, but to discuss this issue about what's legal and what's not legal, or at least what they're willing to enforce or willing to prosecute regarding not the 502 businesses, but the medical marijuana businesses, because they're definitely in the unincorporated portion of the county.
Public Works,
and,
let's have at it.
They don't appear to be they appear to be opening their stores every day. So, and maybe they're all legitimate. As Ms. Traxler said, there might be some legitimate use. I think what you're focusing on is there are businesses out there that are
operating illegally.
Either looking the other way or being easily snowed by people who don't have legitimate cards.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else? We have one more. If there's anybody else,
Really?
this looks like a familiar face.
Oh my gosh.
If there's anybody else after Ms. Kirshner, please come down front.
Hi, Kathy Kirshner. Nice to see all of you. It's my first time back in the council chambers for about a year now. I wasn't going to speak tonight, but when Dannon got up here and started talking about her son, I've got an idea and I want to share it with you about the marijuana issues in our county. And I don't want to sound like I'm wanting to change the law that the people passed, but one of the issues that I have, I've got an 11-year-old son as well. And when we drive home down the guide, there are a couple of businesses that we pass that have signs out there that they're waving. Either people are behind them or they're on an electronic monitor and the sign is waving, come on in here and get your pot. Come on in here and get your pot. And I've had to explain to my son, which is fine, I'm a parent and I don't mind doing that, but I've had to explain to his friends what this is about. And I just think, we don't do that with cigarettes. We don't advertise cigarettes to minors. And so maybe our county and our cities can make some ordinances that will limit or prohibit advertising these places. People that want to buy it know where they are and they'll find them. I don't think they need to be out there on the sign being waved in. And I think it would be a really beneficial thing to our kids not to have to be driving by these things and feel like, it's a normal temptation or something that they're going to grow up and experience. Give the parents a chance to at least make an imprint before, they get to high school, I guess. So thank you very much. Nice to see you all.
Thank you. I actually saw a Santa Claus waving one of those signs on the guide.
Really?
Christmas time. So.
Jeez.
All right. Anybody else for open session?
Come on, you guys, come down here and
If
stop.
there's anybody else, the front row, or this gentleman's the last person.
Nicholas Kunkel, Liberty Street, Bellingham, Washington. Well, you'll be happy to hear that I will not be using all of my time. I want you guys to, consider my application. I appreciate you guys all considering my application for Planning Commission. I just wanted to say that I believe that the work background, my employment background, as well as my educational background growing up in the county, will bring both, diverse issues facing the county, particularly regarding land use, together. My work with the tribe, as well as my work with stream restoration and natural resources, working out at the lumber mill, bring those two worlds together really well. And I really appreciate you guys taking a look at my application, and I hope I get your vote. Thank you very much.
Thanks for applying. All right, I'm going to close the open session. We're going to move on to our consent agenda from the Finance Committee.
Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee met today and considered items 1 through 9 on the consent agenda. All items were recommended for approval by the committee, and I so move.
All right, number 2 is the salmon-colored replacement one. Ms. Brenner.
I would like to remove number 1.
Okay, we're going to pull number 1. Any others? All right, so we're voting on items 2 through 9. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those pass unanimously. Back to number 1.
Okay. We had that presentation today, and the fact that the price on this has been upped and upped since we first entered into the verbal part of it with the company. And I got to say, the guy from Microsoft was here. He made it sound like it was CompuCom's problem, that they screwed up. I'm not convinced. I feel like Microsoft oversaw what they were doing, and it's not like either of these companies have, no money. I mean, when you think you can count on a company that gives its word not to change the amount and go over it by quite a bit. So I'm not going to support this. And, we were told that, if you don't support it, well, we've got all this stuff that goes with it, and we've already got that, and we're going to be out of luck. I think we need to find out whether it was Microsoft or CompuCom that caused the problem, and I think we need to stand firm and say, we're expecting you to honor what you told us, period. I mean, giving in to this just really angers me.
All right. I don't remember if you moved this one already or not.
I moved all of them, and then you pulled out number 1.
Okay. So the motion, can we have another motion for number 1?
So I move that item number 1 was considered by the committee and recommended for approval, and I so move.
Okay. Mr. Kremen.
I have a question for staff, the appropriate staff, Mr. Executive. Mr. Rice.
Sorry.
Gary Rice, IT.
Always great to see you. You do a great job. I share the same frustration and anger about the situation that the county's in. Do we have a choice? Do we really have the luxury of turning this down? Or what would the ramifications be?
Well, we're currently not covered by an agreement. So Microsoft has extended, the month of January as kind of a grace period. I would have to go back to them and make sure that we could extend the grace period a little bit further to fully resolve the situation. I can respond to Councilmember Brenner's question. I have an email from CompuCom that basically said they made the mistake.
And that's what.
But it was it's an official Microsoft business partner.
Ms. Brenner.
Well, then I think Microsoft needs to stand up for us and go after CompuCom before we make a decision to do this. I don't want to say, well, we're not going to do it, and we're going to throw all this equipment we got away. I just think fair is fair. And who was I talking to? Someone said, well, that's not, that's just business. But it's not just business. And this is a big company, big enough to, when they make a mistake, to admit it and fix it. And they're not doing that. So.
All right. Any other discussion? Mr. Buchanan.
Just a point of clarification. What exactly is whatever's role? Are they a broker? Are they a...
They are a business partner of Microsoft. And, in fact, all of the counties and cities that get licensing from Microsoft in the state of Washington go through CompuCom.
Are they a subsidiary at all? Or
I don't believe so.
You don't believe so?
Doesn't matter. They're a partner.
All right, we have the motion in front of us. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
So that passes 5-2 with Councilmembers Kremen and Brenner opposed. Let's see. Other items from Natural Resources.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first thing we had today was an ordinance amending the Whatcom County Code to properly designate the Director of Whatcom County Public Works as the administrator of the Western Washington Phase 2 Municipal Stormwater Permit. This is largely a housekeeping issue that transfers the administrative function from PDS to Public Works. However, the enforcement mechanisms will stay in place as they are within PDS. So this is only a change in the administrative function. The committee voted 3-0 to recommend approval, and I would so move.
All right, we have that motion in front of us. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, I guess we're ready for roll call.
Barbara Brenner,
Yes.
Rud Browne,
Yes.
Barry Buchanan,
Yes.
Sam Crawford,
Yes.
Pete Kremen,
Yes.
Ken Mann,
Yes.
Carl Weimer.
Yes, that passes unanimously.
Second item we had was a presentation of the Water Resources Inventory Area, otherwise known as WIRA 1, planning unit to work their work plan and budget and discussion of the county staff's requests for guidance on how to proceed with the planning unit work. We had a very robust discussion. Many things came up, including should they be in the business of doing in-stream flow work, or is that something that, a more qualified consultant that's very, tuned into that kind of science? We discussed a few things about the budget, and one of the things that staff wanted to do was to know that we are going to, basically confirm, the budget, the money that's in the budget now. I would like to put forward a motion that we are going to reconfirm, the effort of giving was $30,000 for facilitation and $10,000 for other work. That they were going to come back with us with some other ideas on how they're going to, accomplish some of these tough things. A lot of the budget items were to be determined because they felt they needed more guidance, technical guidance, to be able to prepare those budgets. So I would move that we commit that money that we have in the budget, $30,000 and $10,000 for their other work. So it's $30,000 for facilitation and $10,000 for the other work that they do, for a total of $40,000.
Any discussion? Ms. Brenner.
Weren't they requesting an additional $20,000? Yeah. I'm going to make that motion to provide them with the additional $20,000. I'm not sure how we do it, since it would be a request, because we can't, or we could hang it on to a budget amendment that the executive brings forward at any time. The reason I'm saying this is I was there for the discussion, and some of the caucuses have excellent, they have quite a bit of money, and they have excellent staff and everything to be able to contact their members. The private well owners, for sure, they don't have anybody. And maybe it shouldn't be for every caucus, but the non-governmental caucuses definitely need money to be able to do mailings and contact people. And so I mean, if we were even going to keep it at the amount, if my motion fails, I would like to see that $10,000 go to the 2 caucuses that are non-governmental, that don't have the staff and don't have the ability to do their mailings or anything else to get people informed.
I think there's more than 2.
Are there? Well, agriculture is now its own municipal or jurisdiction or whatever you want to call it.
There's Fishers, Environment, small well owners. Right. There's a number of them.
Then I would say, then I want to do the 20, add 20,000 to that.
Okay, we need to deal with Barry's motion first, which was to confirm the money already in the budget. Mr. Crawford.
Okay.
And I just wanted to offer a friendly amendment to change the active verb there to reaffirm.
All right, and I'll also add that one of the pieces of discussion we had this morning is the planning unit themselves is still kind of struggling, and they're having a meeting tomorrow about whether they really want to use the money for facilitation or morph into an advisory committee where they might get more administrative assistance from the county instead of spending it on a facilitator. So I'm fine with designating this money is going to be spent, and they might change what they want tomorrow.
Okay, that's good.
All right, I think it was $30,000 for facilitation and $10,000 for caucus support is what we put in the budget. Mr. Browne.
Mr. Chair, I would speak against the motion for the following reasons. The Weimer 1 planning unit was originally a state-mandated entity that was funded with state money, and what we appear to be doing is taking over what has now become an unfunded mandate. And I'm reluctant to do that because we're bound by the state rules for the operation of the entity. Several members of the entity, the planning unit, have said that they don't believe that they're bound by the county governance, that they go bound by state rules, and yet they're asking us to fund them. And that's just odd for us to be funding an organisation that is saying they're not under our control or authority in this particular case, but they're representing the county's interests. I also think that the nature of the way the state set up the planning unit, it's a very awkward and difficult meeting process. It requires facilitators and all the rest, stuff that we don't. It has an overhead attached to it that doesn't exist with the other groups. And so what I would recommend is that we press the pause button on the planning unit and we put together a council water resources committee, and we invite members of the planning unit to participate on that committee. And then we provide them both the governance structure we use for the other committees, we provide them with the same support we use the other committees, and then we provide them with the specific agendas that we want them to focus on.
Ms. Brenner.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to support that. I think it is the planning unit, and there can be disagreements or anything about what exactly the function is, but they've spent all this time. I think it would be highly insulting to just dissolve the planning unit and call it an advisory committee. So I'm not going to support that. I'm supporting Barry's motion to reaffirm the expenditures, and then tomorrow at the meeting they can make some decisions on how they want to go.
Mr. Browne.
Mr. Chair, my word was to press the pause button, not to dissolve the planning unit, because if the state ever comes back with additional funding, we'll have the organisation in place to take advantage of it. But while we're going to fund it, I think it should be operating under a committee structure, not under the planning unit.
Mr. Kremen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In an ideal world, there wouldn't be any unfunded mandates, either from the federal government or the state government, but unfortunately, there's a plethora of significant, monumental, unfunded mandates. I think the planning unit has value. I think we ought to continue funding it. I do have an opinion on how we should spend that money. My preference would be to spend more of it on the actual caucuses and less on facilitation. But I think that's for them to decide tomorrow or in the not too distant future. But in terms of waiting for the state to fund the planning unit in the future is unrealistic.
Ms. Brenner?
Yeah, and I want to add too that it was called a subcommittee meeting of it. Most of the members were there, and Sylvia Goodwin ran the meeting. She did an excellent job. So I do think that I have faith in the planning unit to be able to figure some of this out. And if we said something like that we're going to wait till the state decides to fund you guys, it's over. I mean, it was dormant for so many years, and getting people back on board and motivated and doing things at all has been a big effort, and I think we need to respect that effort.
Mr. Mann?
I think the planning unit has value. I also think that Mr. Browne's suggestion is probably the most coherent and concrete suggestion I've heard relating to the planning unit in like 4 years. So I really appreciate where you're going with that. I think it may be too soon to do that because I agree also with what Ms. Brenner just said, that to get it back together and functioning again has taken a big effort, and I do think there's value in a lot of really smart, really motivated, really hardworking and well-meaning folks on that planning unit. And if we could incorporate them as they are into a advisory committee structure, and if they didn't see that as an insult, I would do that right now. But I think we should respect the effort they put in this far and give them and reaffirm the budget that we have set aside already for them. And absolutely, though, keep in mind what you just said, because I like that setup much better, and I think it gives us a lot. Will be more effective for us in the future potentially, but I still want to give the planning unit a chance to do what they set out to do.
I think one option, instead of totally hitting the pause button and stopping it, because there has been some momentum, and if you listen carefully today when they were talking, they're looking for direction from the council on much of this, and many of them said that they were willing to be more advisory if we start telling them what it is we want advice on, which we haven't done a very good job of. So one other option, instead of hitting the pause button, is for us to provide them more advice, and a number of them argued that they were willing to become more of an advisory committee. They've already changed their voting rules, so it's majority vote, not this consensus stuff. So I'd be willing to take a crack at bringing back to the council kind of a guidance document for the planning unit on here's a bunch of general stuff we want from you, we want you to work on. Here's how we want you to prove that the caucuses are legitimate. I went through that the first time when I was a planning unit member. You had to show, who you reached out to, who's attended your meetings, how you voted for your representatives. I think that was an issue that a number of people have raised. I think if we gave them that guidance, here's the one-pager, we need it back from you about how the caucuses was formed and how representatives got chosen, just like we did in '98 or whenever it was. And kind of a laundry list, and then the council could decide whether whatever I come up with is legitimate, and that might give them the marching directions, because we all seem to be floundering about who's doing what when, and there isn't anybody giving anybody directions. And some of that was the procedural stuff to begin with, because anytime anybody tried to give anybody directions, they told them you couldn't. But I think they're past that. Ms. Brenner? Yeah,
and also Gary mentioned it today. 2 of the caucuses did submit their information on how they put their caucus together and who they represent, what they've done, what kind of outreach they've done and all. So I've seen them. Those, I don't know if everybody's seen them.
Mr. Chair, you're chirping.
Is that
chirping?
Oh,
yes,
it's
I
that
am.
thing.
It's a Seth Fleetwood. Seth Fleetwood used to.
Oh,
I remember that. All right, Mr. Browne.
Mr. Chair, I mean, I would accept what you're saying. If we're providing the planning unit with, say, 3 things that we want to focus on, with a timeline for which we want them to respond, and they can do so in an efficient manner, then I would certainly be happy to accept their continuing operation. The reason I brought up the point is because it's taken them about 20 months, I think, approximately, to come up with a budget. We've funded them 2 or 3 times now, and the primary work product has been a budget which we actually don't have yet. We hopefully will have that after tomorrow night. But if they're willing to accept the guidance from us as to what the work plan should be, and are willing to produce to that within a reasonable period of time, then I'm quite happy to continue supporting.
Mr. Buchanan.
It occurred to me one thing that we might be able to do once we get some sort of a guidance document, as Councilmember Weimer suggested, is to have a work session at a surface water work session that we have regularly, and have members sit with us and discuss the guidance that we're providing and how they think they can accomplish it, and let us move forward together. And a better communication, I think, would help us a lot in this effort.
Kind of a joint meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Browne.
I guess I'd also add that I stand by my comment that I think they would be able to function much more efficiently as a committee, but I'm willing to step aside on that issue. But I think that there has to be a point where we say you have to have done X if we're going to continue funding you, rather than continuing to renew the funding every 6 months.
Right. I certainly see this next round as $30,000, and I think they recognize that too as the trial period. Can the council provide enough guidance that they know what it is that we want, and can they produce? Mr. Schroeder.
Yeah, Tyler Schroeder from the Executive's Office. Just kind of add a little bit more to this puzzle. I really want to kind of compliment the council on the discussion. The administration has talked and thought of some ideas on moving forward. The piece that I wanted to discuss today was in regards to the joint board as well, and the funding issues surrounding the joint board. There will be an upcoming joint board meeting in regards to those members. Will be talking about how to fund the joint board after the end of 2015. There's enough money to accomplish the work plan through 2015 for the joint board. And as I know, the council remembers, a lot of the money, if not all of the money, for the joint board came from the county council back in the early 2000s, mid-2000s. And so all of those members in the joint board are going to be discussing if and how much money there is to continue the joint board process. And that'll likely take throughout the year. And so continuing with the $40,000 that the council agreed to in the budget through the 15-16 process, letting this kind of play out for the next year to see where all of this moves forward, as well as giving some topics for the planning unit to work on, seems like an appropriate position at this time.
Ms. Brenner.
The way it was supposed to be was contracts, any kind of contracts through the joint board were supposed to come back to the council before they went to the joint board to see whether we supported them or not, and it never happened. So that's my only prerequisite, that we get that information about it beforehand, not after the fact.
It sounds like there's going to be some changes to how the joint board operates and perhaps how the planning unit operates, and maybe it'll all be more functional by the time we get done.
Works for me.
All right, so we have, let me see, where are we? We have Mr. Buchanan's original motion, which was to, I can't remember the word, reaffirm the $40,000 that was in the budget for the planning unit. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Back to finance.
Back to finance.
Whatcom County budget.
Mr. Chair.
Page 7.
Top of the second one down, number 3.
Mr. Chair, the committee heard for an ordinance item number 3, amending the Whatcom County budget. First request in the amount of $868,662. The committee voted to approve this, and I so move.
All right, we have the motion in front of us. Any discussion or questions? Guess we're ready for the roll call.
Rud Browne.
Yes.
Barry Buchanan.
Yes.
Sam Crawford.
Yes.
Pete Kremen.
Yes.
Ken Mann. Yes. Carl Weimer.
Yes,
Barbara Brenner.
Yes.
that passes unanimously.
And Mr. Chair, there was a resolution recognising the leadership in energy and environmental design silver certification for the new jail and sheriff's quarters is not feasible. There was much discussion about this, and the ultimate decision was to hold it in committee.
All right, so that was held in committee. So we'll move on to confirmation of county executives' list of remaining 2015 appointees to fill vacancies on various boards, commissions, and committees. Ms. Brenner.
I move all of them by acclamation.
All right. Motion to move by acclamation. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thanks for those who applied. And then the annual county commission appointments to fill vacancies on various boards, commissions, and committees. And we're dealing with the planning commission this evening. And we have 9 applicants. And thanks to all the people when we extended this who applied, we have a problem now. We have 9 applicants, and they're all way qualified. So where it was easy before because we only had 3 to choose from, now we have a more difficult decision. The way this works is our clerk's going to call the names. We're going to each vote for 2 people. You need 4 votes to get appointed, and we'll see what happens. Somebody going to move?
I guess I will move to nominate all 9 applicants.
All right. So all 9 applicants have been nominated. Any discussion before we start the voting?
Yeah.
Ms. Brenner.
Well, and I think it would be nice if we all did it since we have such great applicants. And I want to explain, first of all, I'm going to vote for Dave Uncles because he has just had his first term. I always vote for someone who served 1 term and wants to continue. You're doing it again. To vote for them to do that, and I do think he's worked real hard. The other application, I was contacted quite a while back by an old friend who also was county planning director at one point, and we talked about, and I just thought it would be great for him, and he asked me to recommend him, and I said I absolutely would. So I'm sticking with that's Michael Knapp, and I'm sticking with those 2. But I just have never seen so many qualified applicants, and I hope that the other ones will either apply again, apply for something else, or consider another way to get into politics.
All right. Any other discussion?
I would just perhaps echo both your comments and Ms. Brenner's comments. There was an outstanding list of applicants. I spoke to, I think, all but 1 applicant, and it's almost like I'd like to expand the commission just to accommodate some more of them.
Right. All right. Looks like we are ready for the first roll call. Oh, you go with me first. I'm going to vote for Oliver and McGinnis.
Rud Browne.
McGinnis and Hall.
Ken Mann.
Hall and Oliver.
Sam Crawford.
Uncles and Templeton.
Barbara Brenner.
Uncles and Knapp.
Pete Kremen.
Knapp and Templeton.
Barry Buchanan.
Oliver and Knapp.
And I'm trying to count votes, and it looks like nobody got 4 votes the first time around.
Uh-oh.
Is that correct?
It looks like that's correct.
It is?
Yes, that's correct.
So we're going to have to do another round. So shuffle whatever you need to shuffle in your head.
Well,
Any
it come out the
discussion
same
before
way.
round two?
It makes it very difficult to revote if we don't know who is in the running. I mean,
You want the vote counted?
yeah, I think we need to know the ones that at least got three.
Okay, I can
three
do
votes.
that. Oliver got 3. Knapp got 3. Those are the ones that got 3. Oliver and Knapp.
And who got 2?
Everybody else got 2.
Would every single applicant?
No. Hall got 2.
I'm sorry, who?
Hall got 2. Templeton got 2. Onkles got 2. McGinnis got 2.
Okay. Ready to vote again?
Okay. Carl Weimer.
Oh, I think, aren't you supposed to roll
Oh,
down to
sure.
the next person?
Rud Browne.
Oliver and Hall.
Ken Mann.
Oliver and Hall.
Sam Crawford.
Uncles and Knapp.
Barbara Brenner.
Uncles and Knapp.
Pete Kremen.
Knapp and Templeton.
Barry Buchanan.
Oliver and Knapp.
We got one. One down, one to go.
I haven't voted yet.
Oh, oops, sorry.
We still got.
Don't I get to vote?
Carl Weimer.
Oliver and Hall.
We got 2.
Yeah, you got 2.
So I think we got 2. Oliver and Knapp. Is that correct?
I think so.
Yes, that's correct.
All right. So welcome to the Planning Commission, or condolences, depending on your view. And we really thank everybody that applied, because we had an amazing group of applications, and I hope you'll apply for something else or apply next time there's an opening. All right. Moving on. What's next?
Comprehensive plan amendments.
The next 3 items will be, or actually 4 items will be held over.
Right, we have these approval of comprehensive plan items on our agenda, but they have to be done concurrently, and since we held the MRL one, we're going to have to wait until that one's ready. So we're on to introduction
We shouldn't
items.
go ahead and do 1, 2, and 3? Okay.
No, we have to do them all at once.
Okay.
I move approval of the introduction items.
Okay, so there's a motion to approve the introduction items. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Reports from committees. Was there anything else that went on in any of the committees? You want to? I didn't even hear who got elected chair in 2 of the committees. So who's the chair of planning? And give us a report.
That would be me.
That's the report.
Our report was I am the chair of planning.
All right. Public Works.
I am the chair of Public Works.
What a surprise. Anything else from Finance or Natural Resources? We did elect Barry Buchanan chair of Natural Resources and Mr. Browne as chair of Finance this year. Anything else from those committees?
Not from finance at the moment.
Okay. Does anybody have other items for the good of the order? Ms. Brenner.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I think it's really special. Today was the 70th anniversary of the people in Auschwitz becoming liberated, and I just think that is so amazing. I don't want anybody to ever forget. And there was actually a trip to Auschwitz that I don't think there'll ever be that many people going again, I'm pretty sure, but it's one of those things that I see so many people don't understand history or don't even remember it, and I hope this is something nobody ever forgets. The other thing I wanted to bring up is Animals as Natural Therapy, which is an incredible organization, is having their 5th annual gala called Night of Mystery. And it's, let's see, the date was, it's on here somewhere. shoot, I can't see. Oh, March 7th, there it is. And you can call them at 671-3509, or they've got a website. You can contact them on their website if you could go to this. And if you can't go to it, you can donate. So it's a wonderful organization, and, you know, it doesn't get a whole lot of publicity. So there you go.
All right. And I think the council generally confuses other items, which is other items of business, with council member updates. So we've kind of started to mix the two together. I do have one other item of business. I've been talking with some of the staff about our surface water work sessions because we tend to have those every month. And I was questioning them, do we need those every month? I mean, it was very important when the whole Weimer thing was going, but it seems like now sometimes, I see somebody's in support of where I'm going, that we're just getting repetitive stuff and they put something together just to fill up the meeting. And Gary Stoika came back and said he thinks it's possible that we could get by with 6 a year instead of every month. So I wanted to have the discussion with the council whether that's a good idea. Now that we're talking about bringing the planning unit in for some of those surface water work sessions, that might expand it a little more than 6. But depends how often we want to do that. Ms. Brenner.
I don't think we need to meet as often, but I think we should reserve that for if we do. And I would appreciate if the administration can bring items forward. I haven't really thought of it as being real repetitious. I've appreciated the information, and so however we do it, yeah. I'm aware that we've canceled a number of those meetings.
Mr. Kremen.
You've brought up a very valid point. It has a lot of merit. Staff is having limited amount of time to do the jobs that they're charged with, and to have a meeting just to have a meeting to make it appear that we're meeting and doing something, and as you say, most of it or some of it is repetitive. My suggestion would be to have the 6 meetings a year, but lengthen them instead of go there for, I think they're usually 2 hours, and I think we ought to lengthen them, especially in view of the fact that we potentially will have planning unit participation at some of them, to lengthen them to maybe 3 hours rather than 2 hours, and I think get more accomplished and give staff more time to do their jobs.
Discussion on the idea. I mean, we can leave it kind of flexible that if they think we can get by with 6, whether they're 2 or 3 hours, that's fine. If we need an extra one, we can add it. It'd be nice to get at least the 6 on our calendars so we don't go do something else those days.
But
I would support 6, and if we are going to make them longer, I just request that they start a little bit earlier rather than go later just because of the lunch period.
Instead of 10:30, start at 9:30 or so. Okay. Ms. Brenner.
Well, I'm fine with reducing the amount of meetings, but to say they're going to be this, to separate them out that way, and I don't support, I mean, I don't mind changing it for 10, but I don't want to go earlier. 10 to 1 seems like a fair compromise. But, sometimes we're going to have stuff come up, so we might want to, put them close together, and other times we're not. And to kind of separate them out that way evenly may not work the best for us. So I just think it would be, say 6 a year, unless more are necessary, and just have them when we need them, just like we've been doing.
But to use your analogy for county council meetings being,
I think they should be every week.
Yeah, but it'd be much easier for all of us if we knew when the water resource. I'm fine leaving it flexible and letting staff that deals with the water issues set the schedule for us.
Well, I think then have it every week except when you don't. And you did that with council, and that I don't like because, but don't get me started on that.
Yeah,
I promise I won't stop talking about it.
All right, so have we beat this one to death? It sounds like we're fine reducing the number of meetings if water resource staff thinks that will work. All right. Let's start at this end of the table, and you can do either other items or council updates, and we'll work down this way.
Pass.
Mr. Browne.
Pass.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Chair. I had the privilege of participating over the weekend in a fundraising video for a new low-powered FM station that is trying to take roots here in Bellingham. They have found and obtained the last low-power FM license in the United States. So they have gotten their license, and now they're working on getting up and running. So it was a lot of fun. There was a lot other elected officials there and a lot of community members. We did this like a Kickstarter style video. I don't think it's Kickstarter. I think it's one of the other ones. But look for that appearing on social media near you.
And if I may ask, what's the theme of the radio station?
Community radio.
So is it Spark Museum? Or?
No, it's KVWV 94.9. That's all I know.
The last license in the States. Wow.
All right. Mr. Mann.
Nothing to report, although I did want to mention I was in New York City over the holidays and got to tour a massive waterfront redevelopment project that's been going on in Brooklyn, around the Brooklyn Bridge area, looking across at downtown Manhattan. And the creativity, the ideas, the outstanding execution, the capacity for community involvement down there, and they have soccer fields out on piers, and just amazing thought. And obviously they have a lot of resources, but it inspired me to just want to come back here and inspire us as Whatcom County to make sure that whatever we do on our waterfront in downtown Bellingham, there's a world of possibilities, and we could do something really awesome down there. And I feel like I don't really know what's going on down there, so I'm as guilty as anybody. But our waterfront has infinite possibilities, and we really need to make the most of it.
Right, thanks. I just wanted to report that last week I attended, I think it was the second meeting of the Water Utility Coordinating Council. That's the group that's trying to coordinate all the small water districts of what they're doing. Great meeting. They're moving forward rapidly. They've got some great consultants gathering information about every one of those districts, how much water they have, how much water they might need on into the future, and lots of valuable information I think is going to come out of that effort. Ms. Brenner.
Already said mine.
Mr. Kremen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be fairly brief. The Lummi Nation, headed by the Tribal Chair Tim Ballou, has graciously invited all of us to attend a community gathering at their administrative offices. They're lovely and impressive administrative offices on Quina Road this Friday from 6 until 8. And I think it would be a real golden opportunity to have a relationship with not just the Lummi Nation, who we have a lot of issues that we need to resolve in the near future, hopefully, but also community members from throughout Whatcom County, including the city of Bellingham and some of the other municipalities, Ferndale, for instance. And I think it would be a real opportunity for all of us to participate if our schedules allow, because it's something that is positive and something that I think can lead us to a path of productivity and movement forward on many issues that we've been trying to work on for several years. That's this Friday, 6 to 8, at the Lummi Tribal Administrative Offices on Quina Road.
All right, thank you. Mr. Crawford.
Yeah, one last item here. I'd like to read a letter that I am presenting tonight, addressed to Carl Weimer, Whatcom County Council Chair, and Jack Louse, Whatcom County Executive. Dear Carl and Jack, I am resigning my seat on the Whatcom County Council effective March 1st, 2015. I do this with great reluctance, as I have tried to remain strongly committed to finishing this, my fourth term, on the Whatcom County Council. However, due to an unanticipated retirement of a coworker at my workplace at Westside Building Supply in Linden, my plans have been altered significantly by the opportunities and needs of the business that exist at this time. By providing notification of the vacation of my seat as early as possible, I hope the council will utilize the time to prepare for the selection of a replacement council member per the Whatcom County Charter. It's been an honor to serve over 15 years on the Whatcom County Council. Our county is financially strong, it's well managed, and it's efficient in its service delivery. I will always remain very proud to tell people I'm from Whatcom County because I believe most people find it to be one of the most desirable places to live, work, and recreate in this country. Thank you to all who participate in furthering our legacy of good county governance. It has been a great pleasure working with everyone over these very many years. Sincerely, Sam Crawford.
But I think we're applauding your service, not that you're leaving.
I thought, why are we clapping?
And that's the bombshell right at the end of the meeting. I would just like to thank you. What is it, 16 years?
This is my 16th year that's beginning now. Yeah. 16
years of service and the historical knowledge you bring to all of our decisions. You're really going to open up a hole on this council for no matter who we find to appoint. And I'll have to get together with legal and our clerk tomorrow to remember the process. My understanding is that the council has 30 days once the resignation is official to appoint. It would take 4 votes of the remaining council members to make an appointment. And if we can't come to that conclusion, then it goes to the county executive to make the appointment. And I think you've been through this once before, haven't you, Mr. Kremen?
And I'd like to make it clear that my resignation, I wanted you guys to have as much opportunity as possible to prepare. Obviously, any council discussions on the matter of appointment, I would recuse myself from. But the resignation itself is not effective until March 1st. So I will have the opportunity to attend the February 10th council meeting. And last fall, as you know, several of us had made reservations to attend the NACO Legislative Conference in Washington, D.C. In the 3rd week of February, and I would like to continue my plans to go on that. By the way, the tickets aren't transferable anyway, but simply to represent the county. I think some of the issues such as the rural schools funding that has been cut with the county, I'm pretty well versed on, and would, I think, continue to make an effective representative for the county council. So if you're gracious enough to allow me to continue with that plan and work with Councilmember Kremen, Councilmember Browne, and Executive Louse on that effort for a few days in Washington, D.C., I'd be grateful for that.
Well, I certainly support you in doing that.
And I'd just like to add, I talked to Mr. Crawford earlier about this and expressed my appreciation at him helping me navigate the NACO conference, because this will be my first time, and I appreciate that you'll still be there. So,
Mr. Mann?
I didn't clap because I'm so in shock and not actually remotely happy about this. And as your district mate, I'm a little...
You would have been happy in 2007.
Well, that's true. However, I
that was good. That was good, Sam.
7 years too late. I am shocked, and I can't believe you told Mr. Browne before you told me.
I didn't tell Mr. Browne.
No, we talked about NACO. We didn't talk about his resignation.
Okay. I did inform the chair earlier today.
Okay. Well, I just am shocked and also sad, and I really, really have appreciated, even though we came from different sides of the political aisle, I just think your service has been excellent and commendable, and I've really learned a lot from you, and I'm sorry to see you go.
Well, thank you, and I hope you're all happy for me, because this is a great opportunity. I can't say enough good things about the owners at Westside Building Supply in Linden, Jason and Bernie Bovenkamp. They are two of the most astute business people I've ever met, and I've met a few in my day. And for them to extend an opportunity for me to go full-time and take on a leadership role in that organization is just a very exciting time for me in my life. Unfortunately, in doing that, I've waited out, and they would have worked with me either way, but I don't feel I can continue the responsibilities, the part-time responsibilities of the county council at the same time.
All right, well, then I'll clap now. Congratulations.
Mr. Kremen.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. And I, too, am caught off guard here. I've had the opportunity to work with you for the entire tenure, serving the people of Whatcom County. And I can say without any hyperbole that you have always maintained the utmost integrity, intelligence, thoughtfulness, and dedication to the people of Whatcom County. And I am saddened because you have been an asset. You really have been an asset to this county, especially this legislative body that I now am a colleague of yours. But I had the opportunity to work with you when I was the county executive. And the way that you worked with, in spite of the fact that we didn't always agree, you always worked in a collaborative, positive way that I always appreciated. And I can say that I always trusted you and always valued your participation and your help in getting things done for the people of this community. So, I mean, it is a loss. Your departure from the council is a loss to our entire community, and I thank you for, you know, the 15 plus years that you have served, because I know how much time you put in. You don't just come to meetings. You prepare, you're astute. As I say, you've been dedicated, and you have really put your all into this position. And I can see why the Bovenkamps want you to come and work for them, because you are such a dedicated, hardworking person. But again, you are going to be missed, and I can say that I am proud that I've had the opportunity to work with you for these 15 plus years.
Thanks. Executive Lyles?
Well, Sam, I'm not going to say goodbye right now because you're going to be around at the next meeting, and I'm going to have the opportunity and privilege to be with you in Washington, D.C. for a few days. But truly you are an asset to the citizens of Whatcom County for the years of service that you put in, the insight, and as mentioned already, the dedication, the understanding of Whatcom County government and how it operates, the respectful nature that you have always exhibited in all of the interesting and challenging discussions that I've been involved in the last 3 years. So I wish you the best, but I'm going to leave it at that for tonight, and we can continue. We're going to continue saying good things because, Sam, you're deserving of them. So thank you so much.
Thank you. No? Thank you, Sam. I mean, your services, you'll continue to hear it for a month, and we appreciate all the notice you've given us, too, to make the process a little smoother. And I will work with staff starting tomorrow about getting a notice out to the public, because we'll have to accept applications for the open seat. And I see the Herald is still here, so maybe that'll help start tomorrow also. So, any other business for the good of the order? That wasn't really for the good of the order. Although, congratulations to his new position. Anything else? We are adjourned.